Hello, we continue to see and read the poem Church Going by Philip Larkin. In the previous lecture, I told you about what is Larkin's attitude when he enters the church. He just does it when he has nothing else to do. And when once he enters, he just go through all the customs which are observed, the looking at the things, making an assessment of the church as giving out a stale smell with few things sprawled here and there. Then he enters in, takes off his hat, says a few words, says a few hymns, and after reciting those hymns in a hoarse voice, he proclaims, "Here endeth," with much more enthusiasm than he did the poem. And he says that he often does it. He goes there, he goes to church. So his church going is either his entry into the church or his preview of the church going off from the face of the earth. We continue. Yet stop I did. Despite much of his disinterest, he says it in the third stanza, yet stop I did. He did stop. In fact, I often do, and always, and much at a loss like this. So I always do it, and after doing it, after performing the rituals of going inside, reading us some hymns, and then donating, making an offering as meager as an Irish sixpence, he says that every time when I do it, I feel much at a loss. I feel the same, that it has given me nothing of a comfort. And I also feel wondering what to look for. What actually was that which I was looking for and for which I entered the church? Wondering too. And I also wonder, when churches fall completely out of use, what we shall turn them into. So, the important thing that he speaks about is, after that disillusionment, after that analysis of not being able to come to a situation, an understanding why at all did he enter, and this dismissal of things causes him to wonder this also, a very prominent questions, that when churches fall completely out of use. Falling out of use. The churches have, people don't visit them. The staleness, the unkemptness of the place shows that it has fallen out of use. And he also wonders what we shall turn them into. Just as the buildings, the palaces and beautiful buildings of the people made in the ancient times, we turn them into museums, we turn them into places of tourist interest. So the same is goading him, and he is forced to think that what shall we turn them into? If we shall keep a few cathedrals chronically on show. And he also says that a few cathedrals must be made to stand. Maybe they'll be kept in a situation where they'll be looked after, because they are two very places of great interest, and they are antique constructions, they are beautiful constructions, and that the faith of the people have stayed riveted to these. So a few cathedrals will be kept on show. Look at that. They'll be for show. to tell to the people, just as we keep the pictures of dinosaurs and we keep the pictures of prehistoric ages, the forests, etc., to show to our children that this is what existed at a point of time, so also will these cathedrals be kept chronically on show. Their parchment, the plate, and pics in locked cases. So, all the antiques, all the beautiful things which belong to the churches will be kept behind glasses. They'll be contained intact for the people, if at all they cared to visit, to come and contemplate what at a point of time did we keep as a place of interest, as a place of faith, and let the rest rent free to rain and sheep. So a part of it, the central part of the church, could be maintained as a show, on show, for the people to come and see them, means they would be transformed into museums of a kind. Museums, the places where we keep the remains of the historically important or religiously important things, or culturally important even, or artistically important things. So these will, a little part of it will be kept intact, and the rest will be left rent free to rain and sheep. So when can a place be left rent free for rain? When the roofs have fallen. And when will the roofs fall? For want of repairs, for want of uncaring, for want of care. And sheep. Now, this is a beautiful imagery that has been brought into the place because it's a church. And because we all believe that Jesus lives there, so also will the sheep come in. Sheep, innocent beings, lesser beings, who were so dear to Jesus because they vested their faith in him. They found themselves very protected with Jesus. And Jesus took every care to care for the innocent ones, the really innocent ones. So the sheep. Now sheep is indicating to the creatures, it juggles before us the image of the sheep that have gone stray or that have been brought for grazing on a land. So this is one of the annotations, and the second is really innocent people. People who still will have faith in God will come as stray sheep. Shall we avoid them as unlucky places? And that, because they will be so abandoned, they will be so unvisited places, that parts of them will fall down, parts of them will get will be destroyed with time. So because of the ruins that will stand instead of the cathedrals, they could be avoided completely as unlucky places. In this stanza, the poet is trying to contemplate the probable uses that churches would be put to. They could be kept for show, a part of it. They could be recluse for rain and sheep, and when they have really fallen absolutely in disuse, they would be discarded as unlucky places. People will stop visiting them. The 20th century has given us so much of materialism that all spirituality will have left us in times to come. Or then he continues the reverie and he says, or after dark, will dubious women come to make their children touch a particular stone? So, after force, the natural force of rain, the spiritually innocent people in the form of sheep will come, or that it would be completely in disuse. He also does not leave the probability behind of dubious women. He is pointing to a stark reality that even when men who are much into practicality and women who are too very emotional, so these emotional women, despite the places having been branded as unlucky places, will visit them and they'll bring their children for moral upliftment, for a cultural visitation. They will bring them and they will have them to touch a particular stone. What is the stone? Maybe the statue of Jesus, maybe the statue of Mary that has now got transformed into a stone just. And then when she comes here, she'll pick simples for a cancer. So anything, she might associate her religious feelings with a thing that could be lying there and she could pick it up as a cure for a malady as severe as a cancer. So people will come here only when they have lost all faith from the world and they are seeking help from God for the deadliest of all problems, that is a cancer. Or on some advised night, see walking a dead one. So someone will say that this is a night on which ghosts walk, ghosts come here, or the their deceased ancestors could be seen, because churches always have a churchyard at the back of it, and people might see. This could be abandoned for the fear that someone might report that they saw the dead ones walking there. With this question, he continues, a shift of tone comes. Power of some sort or other will go on in games, in riddles, seemingly at random. So, will go on. Underline this. He is so sure when he says that I come to the place, I usually do, but then I feel a kind of dismissal for having arrived here because there is nothing new here. There is nothing fresh here. People are not putting their interest in these places. But then, despite all that, despite the people coming stealthily here for some gains or some profits, he says that's power of some sort. Power. The omnipotent would be here. Power. Churches exercise a power. The American poet Emerson had also voiced the same thing in his poem, The Problem. He says, I am attracted to the place. I love the church. I love the cowl. I love the prophet of the soul. But for whatever happens, I shall not that cowled churchman be. So, what is that? You are attracted, whether you like it or not. Some kind, when you are passing by, you will be obliged to place a small gesture of reverence. Even when you go past a church, ignore the church. Something will be extracted. So, power of some sort or other will go on in games. Now, then people will maybe talk about churches in their games, in riddles, seemingly at random. But superstition, like belief, must die. So, all the superstitious belief, what is superstition? Something which is a faith but which has no roots. They are false beliefs. Faith is a true belief. So, superstition, like belief, must die. And what remains when disbelief has gone? And he asks a great question, that when people now are losing their beliefs. But what will remain of them when they have also suspended or given away absolutely even their disbeliefs? Because we see that we are, with the passage of time, no longer remaining as living beings. We are becoming techno, a product of technology. So, this as a machine when we'll be reduced, or as a physical entity just when we'll be reduced, he asks you, what will you be left with? This place, when it has also gone out of the disbelief of people, will still have something. And what will that be? Grass, weedy pavement, brambles, buttress, sky. See, he draws the picture from the earth to the sky. What will remain here? Grass. Grass is the love of earth, for its very preliminary, the basic creatures. Churches will continue to have this grass. They will have weedy pavements, because people have not walked the pavements of the church, leading to the church. They will have weeds growing there. And not just weeds, there would be brambles as well, thorny bushes, buttress, a cobwebby structure. And if you can still hope to look up despite all this pessimism, you will see the sky. You will be obliged to look at the sky. Sky where the spires of the church reach up. Even when you have walked out of them, you may take a turn, a look back at the things, and have in your purview the sky. This stanza is suggestive of the conviction of Philip Larkin. Despite all the disuse, despite all the neglect by people, churches will forever remain to exercise a kind of power that will be undeniably prominent and strong. It will go on. And that people may not be here, but nature will have its complete control over this existence. And all those who have some kind of longing or some kind of desire to get from someone, to get from these churches blessings or redemption from diseases, or any kind of upliftment that they are wanting and striving for, they would still visit the place. This is all for today. Think it over. Why Philip Larkin tells you his his event of church going, the customary treatment that he accords himself in under that roof that is a church, inside the walls that are a church, and the earth that is a church, the customary acts that he does. And then when he says that these things, looking at the attitude of the people, churches may be occupied as places of tourist interest, but still they'll continue to give refuge to rain, that is love of the heavens, and will continue to give shelter to the sheep, would give solace to the women who would come here searching for some kind of blessing. And people might also see the dead walk at the backyard of the church. Despite all this, something will remain and will continue tomorrow. Thank you so much.